which means in most of the crypto industry, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be regulatory crackdowns. There's going to be a massive shakeout.
How do you see the competition between different crypto assets, for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum?
I think that the entire crypto universe could be divided into two classifications. You have Bitcoin, which is a universally acknowledged common property. It's an institutional grade asset. It's not controlled by any entity, and it's not regulated by the SEC as a security. And because it's common property, it makes it digital property, and you can build a $100 trillion or multi-$100 trillion economy on top of that one token. That is an innovation, and that's universally acknowledged as property. And if you're a public official, it would be unethical to promote a security and maybe illegal to promote a security. So a public investor, a public official, and a public company can't safely, legally, and ethically engage with anything other than a property if you're pursuing a true digital economy strategy. So Bitcoin is the safe haven, and there are thousands of things you can do with it. But the obvious use case is store of value in a digital asset. The rest of the crypto economy, all of those tokens are very uncertain, very competitive, very insecure. And I think that if you look at the testimony and all of the publications coming out of the regulators in the US, out of the White House administration, from Treasury, from the SEC, from the CFTC. If you look at the testimony of the chair of the SEC in front of Congress and public speeches, even as late as just yesterday, when Gensler was talking to Jay Clayton, what they've made clear is there might be a handful of other properties or commodity tokens in the crypto world, but just about everything else is a security. So that means the stable coins are securities, and they're going to be regulated, and they need to be issued by FDIC insured banks. It means that most tokens are security tokens, which means they're being issued without proper disclosures, and that would make it unethical for a public figure to support them or promote them, and maybe illegal. And I think most decentralized finance is all not compliant with either Treasury guidelines, anti-money laundering guidelines, CFT guidelines, or securities exchange guidelines. Ethereum is used primarily as a decentralized finance, exchange, and also it's a token, which is probably a security. So I don't really, if you're a venture capitalist or a speculator and you're not concerned about those things, and if you can move rapidly, then perhaps you can invest in this. But I think it's pretty obvious that they're nearly all securities. And if they're all securities, none of them are compliant with the public policy framework of the Western world, which means in most of the crypto industry, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be regulatory crackdowns. There's going to be a massive shakeout. And if you're a speculator, maybe you can figure that out. But I think it's a massive distraction. Gary Gensler was asked point blank in congressional testimony, and he's the chair of the SEC. He was asked point blank by a congressman, is Ethereum a property? He refused to answer. He immediately said, if a token is issued pursuant to an ICO, it's probably a security. Ethereum was issued pursuant to an ICO. So I think it's pretty clear what they're trying to tell you. So Bitcoin is property. Everything else is a venture capital speculation. It's pretty obvious that Shibcoin and Dogecoin, Elon Musk coin, and Saylor Moon coin are speculative entities. And so if you're a speculator or a gambler or a venture capitalist and you want to delve in that area, you probably can. But the only real safe haven for institutional investors is Bitcoin.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I mean, what do you think this means for decentralized finance? We had this DeFi summer with this big boom of development of decentralized exchanges. Do you really think all of this will have to be closed down, or is there a way to make this compliant with what you've just been describing, this regulatory push?
The chair of the SEC has said on no less than 5 occasions in congressional testimony and public speech that decentralized finance, for the most part, is decentralized in name only, and he uses quotes. It's not decentralized. Yesterday, to Jay Clayton, the existing chair of the SEC said to the former chair of the SEC yesterday, he said, there are components of every decentralized finance exchange that are actually centralized, and they're doing the same thing as centralized exchanges, and they need to be regulated the same way. The Caroline Crenshaw memo was issued about a week and a half ago. It's online. You can actually read it. I tweeted it. If you go to my Twitter, Saylor, Saylor, you'll see it. Caroline Crenshaw is a commissioner of the SEC in the U.S. She wrote a fairly detailed piece and published it. The summary of the piece is nothing in the DeFi area is compliant with existing law. All the DeFi exchange projects need to come talk to the SEC. FinHub is waiting for them to call. FinHub, which is managing this, it has never denied a meeting, and they're expressing a bit of surprise that the DeFi projects have not yet consulted with them, and they're noting that there are probably all sorts of ethical and moral and regulatory quandaries that are brought up by the existence of DeFi in its present form. So I think it's pretty clear, and I think that regulators are trying to say it's pretty clear, DeFi can't go on in its current form, as well as certain trading restrictions on securities tokens, probably as well as other restrictions. Anything that's a staking token that's generating yield is a security, and that means it falls under the guidance of the regulator. So I think that if I was in the DeFi space, it's 100% certain that there's regulation coming. It's reasonably certain that it will not continue in its present form, and there are going to be a lot of rails and a lot of constraints put on it.
Yeah,
Use that information as you like. I wouldn't invest in it, but again, if you're a speculator or a venture capitalist, a lot of people are making a lot of money right now in the market doing it.
Right. That's very
the
bad news
regulators are
for all the
sending a
guys.
message that's quite clear, which is they think it's non-compliant and it needs to end. What they said is if these security tokens and these DeFi exchanges don't come into the SEC and come into compliance, they're going to launch enforcement actions, and they're going to begin to use enforcement as a tool more generally. There are already a lot of enforcement cases, but there'll be more. If your goal is you want to see the industry grow by a factor of 100, but it's going to put more regulatory constraints on people in the industry if they want to actually issue these tokens and move them around.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.